Hi, this is Margo. This is Monday evening, June 17th, 2019, 5:32 p.m. Pacific Time, United States of America. So I wanted to briefly go over this release of sulfur dioxide down here. It looks like at Papua New Guinea, but it looks like at one of the volcanoes there. It's not on that map, but at this one, Manam, and it's a whole island that's basically a volcano, and it's right here, Manam Island HP, and it looks like that's where it's coming from, but I'm not finding any reports on anything going on there. And the release is I have sulfur dioxide pulled up here for today, Monday the 17th, global total column, and compared to the releases around the world, the others are dwarfed compared to this. And if we go to look at 500 HPAs, that's about halfway up in the atmosphere, that's about 18,000 feet up, we see a tremendous force with the ripples going out before. This is like what we saw over here by Mount Cinnabung, I don't know, last week when it was blowing up. So I don't know what's going on. And all these other volcanoes that are going off and that are being reported on does not have the force of this. So I don't know if this is an earthquake that's about to happen. I don't know. I'm not finding reports of Manam going off, but doesn't mean anything. So that's something that we're going to keep an eye on. Let's see if that'll go back to total column. It doesn't know what it's going to do. Anyway, we'll leave that. Then I pulled up, this is the Southeast Asia, Indonesia view for total column, and this is Papua, it's kind of hard to see, but this is Papua New Guinea, and it's coming up right here. I mean, that's where it looks like it's focused on. And I downloaded that image so that we could look at it in more detail if we wanted to. And this is the area of Manam, where if it were a blast, it would go way up in the atmosphere like that. It would go to total column quickly, and so we might not even see where it came up from the surface because it would come up so quick. So there's that. That's still churning. So we'll leave that. I'm going to print this and leave this as a backdrop. And I went over to Volcano Discovery just to look, and here's Manam on their map. Manam volcano, stratovolcano, 1807 meters high, or 5,928 feet high. Minor activity or eruption warning, last update June 3rd, 2019. So that means, I guess it hasn't, nothing major has gone off there since June the 3rd. Last update was June the 3rd, and it's not part of the ones that are on the volcanoes for today for us to look at. But that's the area that has the big blast, so you know, maybe this is a release before something is about to happen. It could be an earthquake that's going to happen. I mean, they had plenty of earthquakes there, but I don't know. So we'll be watching this. So I also wanted to follow up on this cyclone Vayu that had been headed for India. This is just to get your perspective. Here's India, here's Saudi Arabia, here's Africa, this is the Arabian Sea. And remember, there was a huge cyclone that had been headed for Gujarat, and then it steered away. Here's where it steered away. This has been in the works for several, about a week now. Here it is from June the 10th, where it was starting to form down here. And then here's the 11th. Here's the 12th, where it's really taking shape. Here's the 13th, where it just swung around and part of it hit Gujarat. But it really steered away on the 14th. And then here it is on the 15th, and I showed it on the 15th where it looks like it's just, it doesn't look normal. It looks like it's been manipulated to me. And then on the 16th, it was moving further out in the Arabian Sea. And then here it is today. And I can't tell what's happening. It looks like the majority of it is broken up and is not well formed. But it almost looks like another eye is forming, and like it's trying to reform now. But the majority of it is over here. The majority of the clouds are to the southwest of this new system that looks like it's trying to gain strength again. So who knows? With the way everything is manipulated, who knows what's going on? I really don't. I really don't know. And then on the Oroville Dam situation, I always like to check the lake levels. For 5 p.m. Pacific time, it was at 895.04 feet. So it hit 895 at 3 o'clock this afternoon. The top of the emergency spillway is 902 feet. So it's less than 7 feet from the top. Yesterday it went up 0.30 feet. So a third of a foot. So about 4 inches. That was from midnight to midnight yesterday. And today we can, so it's 895.04 right now. And at midnight it was 895.83, so it's gone up 0.21 feet today. And we can see the inflow is still higher than the outflow. The outflow is holding a little over 4,000 cubic feet per second, about 43 something. And the inflows are this morning at 6 o'clock it was 62.93, and then at 9 o'clock it was 72.89. At 1 o'clock it was 84.44. At 4 o'clock it was 84.78, and at 5 o'clock it was 73.71. So the inflow is still more than the outflow at this point. So that's what's going on there. So let's go right into our earthquake report. I'm going to try and make this a short show. I had my teeth cleaned today, so I'm a little hoarse. So if I squeak or have to clear my voice, I always react whenever I, go to a doctor, in the doctor's office, especially getting any kind of dental work. It's just, takes me a couple of days to recover. But I did better today. So that's a blessing. So we're looking at USGS for all magnitudes, and we're showing 231 earthquakes worldwide. Now of those, 37 are 2.5 magnitude or higher. So let's see what's about to come off the map. 4.4 in the Fiji region at 5:54 yesterday. 625 kilometers deep. I think I reported on that yesterday. That's an overlap quake, but that's okay. We can start down here. But before we get started, I'd like for you to just look at these large quakes. They're still coming in at L'Esperance, New Zealand. We've got some large dots around. Here's one. We've got a couple on the South Pole area, the Antarctic ridge here, and then there were a couple over here. We've got one in the Atlantic Ocean over here, and so we're seeing a lot of large dots, meaning large earthquakes, in the last 24 hours. So we'll start up here in the Fiji region. It's a 4.4 at Fiji, in the Fiji region, that came in at 5:54 last night, 625 kilometers deep. Now including that one, and these down here at New Zealand, there have been 8 in the last 24 hours. Right down here is where we had that 7.2 a couple of days ago. And these are still aftershocks from that 7.2. So I'll just call them off. Here's a 4.9, 4.8, 6.0, so that's a large one, 4.9, 4.7, 4.9, and 5.4, and this one came in at 9:53 this morning. And nothing on USGS since then, so maybe it's starting to slow down there. I don't know. And then down here was a 5.4 near Scott Island Bank, Antarctica, at 6:47 this morning. And all these times that I'm telling you are Pacific time, because that's my time zone. And then we're going to stay over here on this west side. And so, okay, just to refresh, where we saw that sulfur dioxide coming up was here in this region. So we'll be looking for, it could be a very large earthquake, or it could be a volcano. But considering we haven't seen a report, and I looked several places, of a large blast anywhere here, then, you know, I don't know. Then I'm assuming. At first I thought it was a volcano, but now I'm thinking it could be a release for, like a huge release, like an earthquake is about to happen. The shifting of the earth. I don't know. We'll see. So, down here in Indonesia, 4.3 near Samlaka. Here's a 5.0 near Samlaki. Oh, Samlaki. I said Samlaka on the other one. Here's a 5.5 Watabuku. That one came in at 10:43 last night. So we can look on that little wave. We can click that and see if there are any tsunami warnings. And I don't see any. The latest ones were from the 16th. So, no tsunami warning there. Then over here, off the coast of Sumatra, was a 5.1 near Sikabaluan at 4:04 this morning. Then up here in the Andaman Sea, it's actually on this island, was a 4.9 near Bamboo Flat, India. That's the reporting station. But it's on this Andaman Island. This came in at 3:19 this afternoon. Then up here in China, they've had an event going on. It started with a 5.8. These are all at the same place near Changning, China. This came in at 7:55 this morning. Then a 5.2 at 8:36, 4.7, 9:29, 4.9, 9:37, 4.9, 2:03 p.m., 5.2, 4:34 p.m. So that's the last one. So who knows what's going on there, but those are some large ones. 5.8, that could have been a 6, and that's big enough to do damage if it was in a highly populated area. So we'll keep an eye on China. Then here's one in Iran, 4.7 near Bandar Abbas at 6:32 this morning. Then coming on across, here's one in the Atlantic Ocean, 5.5 Central Mid-Atlantic Ridge at 1:03 this afternoon. And then here at the south end, there have been two, 5.0 Mid-Atlantic Ridge and a 4.9 Beauvais Island region. Then up here in South America, we've got a 4.4 near El Aguilar, Argentina at 10:18 last night, 218 kilometers deep. Then coming on up, here's one off the coast of El Salvador, 4.3 near Puerto El Triunfo. at 2:08 this afternoon. And then just across from that is a 4.6 on the Northeast Pacific rise at 4:28 this morning. So I think that's all of the international earthquakes. So let's go to all magnitudes now. Starting in Hawaii, we're showing 7 here today. 1.7 near Pepikio, Hawaii at 9:16 last night. 1.5 Pahala, 2.6 Pahala, 1.8 Kilauea, 1.8 on the flanks of Kilauea, 2.2 Pahala, and a 2.3 Waimea. So that's still showing quite a bit of movement there. Now in the Caribbean, we've got 6 here today. 2.3, 2.8, 1.9, 2.3, 2.8, and 2.5. So those are, except for that 1.9, they were all in the 2s. So looks like they were all in the ocean. So that didn't do any damage. They're not big enough to do any damage anyway, but it's showing movement. Then in Alaska, we're showing 60 here today. So that's fewer than we've seen recently. Here's a 4.1 at Little Sitkin Island, 2.7 Bethel, 2.5 McGrath, and a 2.8 Kodiak. So let's zoom in with all magnitudes. We've got one here on Unalaska, a 0.8. Then we got them, not very many, in this Cook Inlet here today. So this is definitely a downtick. Here's a couple in the little armpit. Here's Anchorage. Here's a few at Anchorage. And so forth. Oops. So they're just moving up through the state. Now let's look at Kobuk. We've got 17 here today. So these are 1s and under, or in the 1s range. Now let's move on down into the lower 48. We're showing 130 here today. So we're going to start with this one up here. Remember I showed you one that had come on the map and then was off Well, now here's a new one right on the coast in Lake Erie, near East Lake. 1.5, they're calling it near Willowick, Ohio. This came in at 7:28 last night. So that's, we had that, whatever it was, 4.1 or something up here last week, and then that started. We've been having some activity ongoing there since then. Then here in Tennessee, here's a 1.3 near Inglewood. And then in Oklahoma, we're showing 8 here today. .6 at Stroud. And we've got Hennessy had a 2.0 and a 1.8. And then Enid had a 2.0, 2.1, and a 2.2. And then a 1.5 at Meeker. And a 1.7 at Wycomas. So, I don't know why it's saying Wycomas when it's the same as those Enid ones. Anyway, it's a little off to the side. And there it is, with the Enid cluster. Now it's moving on across. Here's one on the line between Arizona and Utah, 1.6. And then in northern Utah, we have one right in the middle of Salt Lake. It's a 1.5 at 9:06 last night. And then here's a 0.9 at Minden. And now, coming on up into the Yellowstone region, we've got our quarry blast, just right on schedule, 1.8 magnitude from a quarry blast at Butte, Montana at 12:02 this afternoon. It comes in every day at 12:02, pretty much. And here's a 0.8 and a 0.5, both at West Yellowstone. So only 2 without the quarry blast. Then up here in the Pacific Northwest, we're only showing 1, 0.8 near Packwood. But let's look at the tremor map. This is the most recent data is from yesterday, and they're showing 191 tremors from yesterday. So that's a huge number, and they're focused right up here in this northwest Washington area near Vancouver Island. That's where the majority of them are. Right up here near Olympia. And then there's some more down here by Medford. 191. So today we saw that 0.8 at Packwood. Now coming on into Northern California and Northern Nevada. Going to start with this 1.9 near Willits, California at 9:31 this morning. Now let's just get oriented here. This is Chico. Here's the Oroville Lake and the Oroville Dam area. Here's Lake Almanor. These lakes are full. These are reservoirs with dams And these earthquakes are happening not too far from them. And where is Bucks? There's a Bucks Lake is another one. I can't remember. Lake Davis. Here's Bucks Lake. So these are not too far from some of these other smaller reservoirs too. So we're seeing I'm going to include these in this Reno Mount Rose area here. We've got 9 here on the map. Here's a 0.1 Portola, a minus 0.4 Portola. Now that one is at surface level. See the zeros? 0 depth. That's right at surface level. 0.5 Verdi, right up here. 0.4 Downeyville, right down here. Okay, 1.1 Incline Village. This is in the Mount Rose area. And a 0.1 Incline Village and a 0.1 Mogul. These are all in the Mount Rose area. And a 1.1 East Quincy. Now that's the one that's closest to all these lakes. And a 0.3 Mogul. So down here it looks like they came in pairs, 2 over here and 2 over here. Davis Meadow. That's a beautiful place. I have hiked up there. I know all the hiking trails up here on Mount Rose, and that's a beautiful, beautiful place. It's in the wilderness area of the Mount Rose hiking area. The meadow, it just opens out. You're hiking in the mountains, and then you come and it's just totally flat, and it's just beautiful. Here's a 0.7 near Dayton. Here's a 2.0 near Gardnerville, but it's actually across the line in California, so that's a little bit larger one. And we've got 2 to the east of Fallon. We've got a 0.7 and a 0.3, so we've got some small ones there. Here's one north of Walker Lake, a 1.0, that's at Urington. We've got a couple down here at Hawthorne. And now moving into southern Nevada. Here's a 0.5 Warm Springs. So, not very many. We have a downtick here. We've got 6 here, including that one in Utah. So, only 5 in Nevada. And these are small. So, nothing at Alamo today. Now, here's one to the north. Here's a 1.5 near Ely. Here's a 1.4 explosion at Austin. And that's it for Nevada. Now let's cover the eastern side of California. A 1.3 at Columbia. Here's at Mammoth Lakes. We've got 10 here today. And the biggest one is this 1.1, it looks like. And this is a 1.0, and the rest are under that. So that's showing activity. Coming on down to the Coso Junction area, we only have 2 here, a 1.7 and a 1.4. So that's a downtick. Here's this one, minus 0.3 at Searles Valley. So that was a microquake. Here's a quarry blast of 1.6 magnitude at Boron. Here's a 1.8 at Ludlow. And now, coming into Southern California, here's another quarry blast of 1.2 magnitude near Big Bear City. We've got a couple down here in Baja. Here's a 2.1 near Ensenada and a 1.5 near Rosarita. And here's one on the border, 1.4 at Ocotillo. So in Southern California, including that blast and these in Baja, we've got 42 here today. So that's fewer than we've seen most days. So here's a 1.6. Now let's see if any of these are 2.5 magnitude or higher. No, it looks like not until we get up further north. So they're coming in clusters. Here's a cluster here at Ocotillo Wells. That's showing 6 on the map right there. Here's a cluster at Cahuilla. Here's this is Glen Avon. It's showing 17 here today, so that's gone way down. And we've got a 1.0 quarry blast at Home Gardens. And these at Glen Avon, it looks like the largest one was this 1.4. 2 1.4s and the rest are under that. Then coming on across, here's one in West LA, a 1.0 at Culver City. And that's it. And the La Brea tar pits are right up here. So that's not too far from that. Couple of miles. Anyway, coming up this red line, that's the San Andreas fault line. 1.1 Parkfield, 1.7 Parkfield, 1.0 Pinnacles, 1.2 Tres Pinos, 2.8 Ridgemark, so that's getting up there, 1.4 San Juan Bautista, 1.0 San Martin, San Francisco's clear. The Geysers has 25 here today. And the largest one was this 2.5 at Anderson Springs. There's a 2.3 and there's the 2.5. But I consider that all part of the geysers area. So 25, that's a low average number. That's more reasonable than 80 or 100. And the rest of these are in the low ones and under. So we'll see if anything else came in while I was recording this show. We can look at that real quick. I I think we got everything. So I think that's a wrap. And so, like I tell everyone, I believe we're in the end times and we don't have much time left. No one knows the day or the hour. But I suggest everyone get your spiritual house in order while you still have time. So until next time, God bless you. Go in peace, and I'll talk to you soon. Good night.